Hello again everyone, I'm Jamie, and welcome back to TrikBrix. Today we're going to continue our m-tron retrospective by taking a look at not just one, but three sets released in 1990. Beacon Tracer, Mobile Satellite Uplink, and the Pulsar Charger. Rather than release three super short episodes, I thought it would be smarter and more enjoyable to roll all of these little guys into a single episode, so let's get started. First up, 6833 Beacon Tracer, which contains 40 pieces, one minifigure, and retailed for $3. The m-tron theme had several really cool land-based vehicles, and even though this was one of the smallest of the group, it's still pretty awesome. This is the only one of the three that I actually have the box for, which is unfortunate, but I'm glad to at least have this one. You've got this awesome set photography on the front with the rad neon gridded background and some sand dunes, all framed by this classic yellow border. There's an old price tag here on the side for $3.49, slightly above retail, and on the back we'll see three alternate builds, two of which I actually like quite a bit. Not crazy about this one, but the idea of a sci-fi forklift is pretty cool. And the way this one is built all at a 45-degree angle is awesome. In fact, I liked it so much, I actually built it. Definitely an interesting vehicle for sure, and I think it could easily have been an official set in the theme. I like to see this as a little mobile anti-aircraft turret, but you might also imagine it being some sort of satellite tracker or something like that. Anyway, let's roll this out of the way and check out the main build. For me, the coolest part about this set has to be these old school balloon tires. This mold has long since been retired, but it's such a classic look that really has that vintage Lego vibe. Another awesome part is this set exclusive windscreen element. The Beacon Tracer was the only place you could ever get one of these with the printed m-tron logo. Of course, it tilts forward for easier access to the driver's compartment, which really is already pretty easy to access thanks to not having any side coverings. But I guess if you look at the real-life moon rovers, they didn't have much in the way of a body either, so this doesn't really bother me. There's this little embellishment at the rear of the window, made up of a modified plate and a couple of trans neon green cones, two of which can also be found up front as a bumper. The cockpit is about as detailed as it can be with the available space, with the console tile and this printed slope with a bit of grille detail. This piece is fairly uncommon, only being released in 3 sets, and a space service pack, which used to be a great way to get some cool elements, long before Bricklink. Anyway, there's room in here for one minifig, in this case the standard m-tron astronaut, the same one we'll see in all 3 of these sets, and every other m-tron set. More often than not, they came with a radio, and this guy is no exception. And finally, out back we've got a few radar dishes and an antenna, all molded in trans neon green. Even though, as I mentioned, this thing is pretty small, for some reason I really like it. The raked stance makes it look fast, and these balloon tires give it a lot of character. And there's one really cool, simple customization that you can do to take it to the next level. I can't take credit for this, having seen it a while back on Reddit, and I can't find the original poster, so if you're out there, thank you for this awesome idea. All you need to do is swap out the standard axle plates with these suspension pieces, and you've got a moon buggy capable of traversing all manner of bumpy, crater-laden terrain. Not quite period correct, since these sprung axles wouldn't be introduced for a few years after this set debuted, but still a super rad update. The Beacon Tracer seems to be hovering right around $10 for a used copy, but it can sometimes be found for a few dollars less. Sealed, you're looking at closer to $100. Moving right along, we're going to leave the ground behind and take to the skies in the Pulsar Charger. You gotta love the crazy names they came up with for these sets. Designated number 6811, it came with 26 pieces, one minifigure, and again retailed for $3. At almost half the pieces of the Beacon Tracer for the same price, this one obviously wasn't quite as good a deal, but these days you're probably never going to find these for their original MSRP anyway, so that's kind of a moot point. The Pulsar Charger has the distinction of being the smallest m-tron set ever released, in terms of piece count, but that doesn't mean some of those pieces weren't pretty cool. Up front, we'll find a pair of trans neon green cones attached to this modified slope. This is another element that saw a pretty limited release, being found in just 2 sets. This one, and the Celestial Forager, which we took a look at in episode 2 of this series. You got a couple of grille tiles here, one on each side, and the pilot seat is made up of another modified piece. These saw a ton of action in the original classic space theme, and they're perfect for astronauts since this little space back here has enough room for his oxygen tanks. For me, steering wheels just seem a bit weird on a spaceship, even one as small as this, and I think a pair of levers would have been much more fitting. Luckily, that's an easy replacement. There is, however, one lever already present here. If we turn this around, this looks to me like an emergency brake, but my guess is it's actually meant to represent a throttle. A cool little detail that adds a lot. Some very small wings keep this thing aloft, and an antenna here keeps our pilot in touch with his commanding officers. One of my favorite pieces of the set can be found out back, this trans neon green 1x1 finned cylinder, acting as a thruster here. And lastly, we've got some landing gear thanks to these modified plate elements. I like this little guy, but if I had to rank all of the m-tron sets, I think he'd be at the bottom of the list, just due to the stiff competition. That said, he's usually fairly inexpensive to acquire, typically going for about $5 to $7 used, so if you think you'd enjoy it, there's not much to lose. As is the norm for m-tron, a sealed copy is gonna set you back about 10 times that. And I think I've saved the most interesting for last. Not only does the 1478 mobile satellite Uplink have a unique design, it was only ever available in conjunction with 4 other sets, the 5-item bonus pack from 1991, which sold for $12. It also happens to be the last m-tron set ever released. Its box mates included a Formula 1 car, a castle and a pirate set, and the Blacktron Future Generation 2 pilot craft. It was a weird mix of sets, and I'm sure there were some very interesting play scenarios that took place once they were all built. But back to the MSU. Again, it features the same balloon tires found on the Beacon Tracer, but an added bit of play value thanks to the entire vehicle being built on this vertical hinge plate. I always enjoy when a LEGO vehicle is equipped with functional steering. Interestingly, the red slope up front does not bear the m-tron logo, which is a bit unfortunate because I think it would have added a little something. Once again though, that's an easy enough replacement. Here's another one of those ever-present printed console tiles, and behind that is just enough room for our driver to sit. No space left over for any physical controls, so I'm guessing there's some sort of directional buttons on here, or perhaps the whole thing is guided by satellite, since we've got quite an array out back. These are all hinged for getting perfect reception, and of course they can't be any other color than trans neon green. The last bit of detail comes in the simple form of this modified bar plate. And while I like this little rover, just because it looks so different from everything else we've seen so far in the theme, I'm not crazy about these empty studs back here. I guess you could use this as space for a passenger or for hauling one of these cargo boxes, but neither of those were included, so you'll have to grab some spares from your collection. Oh, and yes, the suspension axles also make for a nice upgrade on the MSU. Due to its rarity, this one goes for a little more than I would have expected, about $12 used according to Brickset.com. And a sealed version of the 5-set bonus pack, that'll only drain about $400 from your bank account. If you want my recommendation, just bricklink this thing like I did. There aren't any rare pieces here, and it really shouldn't cost you more than about $5. Any one of these 3 sets would make for the perfect start to an m-tron collection, and I don't think you'll be dissatisfied should you decide to pick one of them up, or all 3 for that matter. But that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed these little reviews, and if you did, a like is always appreciated, as is clicking that subscribe button. I've saved some of the most awesome m-tron sets for last, so you're not going to want to miss the next few episodes. But until then, this has been Jamie for TrikBrix. As always, thanks for watching. Take care and play well.